Starting.
And it's not just going to stay on your face.
No. I have double checked it, and I've already confirmed. Yes, so it's going to be.
Which I'm fine with, but whatever.
No. I'm definitely not fine.
I know you're not fine with it.
So. Hey, folks, and welcome to episode number 74 of the Life of Gaming podcast. I'm not Jamie. Jamie's actually out today, so me and Josh decided that we would just do the show without him. You know, we're better looking anyways. So, listen, I'm going to be the pilot on this starship of video game awesomeness. And my co-pilot sitting right over there is Mr. Josh the Beard Brand. Josh, what's up, bud?
Hey, man. Starship Galactus of awesomeness is what I was.
Right. That's right.
We're changing. We're actually, since James is not here, we're changing the name of this podcast just for this episode. This is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Spoiler Cast podcast. Just for this one. That movie was awesome.
Listen, it's not. So if you're listening, we're not going to spoil anything.
So don't drop out now.
That's right. Don't drop out. But I will say, yes, Josh and myself have both seen Guardians. Actually, to be honest, we got to see it and James didn't see it. So sometimes, we don't like to let you guys know what happens behind the curtain, but we just felt like he wasn't cool enough to be on the show this week because he hasn't been able to see the movie yet. So, so we kicked him off. So we told him if he goes and sees it, then we'll let him back on. So we'll see what happens.
Right. He always beats me to go see movies. I'm like, not this time, James. I have the day off of work. I'm going early matinee. So
let me ask you this, Josh. Would you give Guardians 2 thumbs in anywhere special or any just direction? Any direction?
Yes, I do give it 2 thumbs, but it's not going up the a-hole this time, as they put it in the movie.
That's good. That's good. Yes. Yeah, no, it was good. We're recording on the 5th. It's the day it come out, so we really can't say anything. Yeah. I will just say that if you are a fan of the first movie, you will really like the second movie, and maybe later we can get into some thoughts. Maybe after Jamie sees it, we can maybe do a break room or something and actually talk spoilers because I did really enjoy it. But.
I was teary-eyed, I tell you. That's another thing.
There were
the feels were real.
Yeah,
at the end.
Yeah, dude. I tell you what, I think I probably teared up in the first one too, man. The first one was good too. It's got a lot of heart. I mean, James Gunn knows what he's doing, and it's just a great cast. So, all right, we got to stop talking about it, or we're gonna say something we don't want to. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is always what we've been playing. Josh, I'll let you go first, man. What you been playing?
Okay, well, I'll bring up some indie hits. I've been on an indie kick rage recently, and the first one I want to bring up is for all systems, but I've been playing on the Switch because that's the way to go, is Tumbleseed.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, it's a clever, inventive game. I'm really enjoying it. It is hard as balls, though. I mean, it literally like rolling the seed down. It's those balls are hard to roll, I tell you.
Yeah. So I've seen this. It looks great. The game does look great. It is on Switch. And it's a roguelike, sort of, right? I mean, it's you play till you die, you kind of start over, right? That's the premise.
Right. Yeah, it does a good job of teaching you the mechanics at first, and then as you get further along, this guy gives you like a warp crystal, because I haven't made it past the second area yet. So at least I can warp to the second area right away now.
Okay.
Yeah, the power, it's really inventive because the power-ups you get, you can hurt the enemies with most of them, but they can also hurt you. So you have to be careful about what you pick. And yeah, it's randomized. So every time you play, there's something else that's going to kill you. You get the luck of the draw sometimes, and sometimes you don't. But I'm getting used to it. It has a very hard learning curve, but once you learn the minutia of the gameplay, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I don't tend to really like roguelikes.
Yeah,
So I haven't
fair.
picked up Tumbleseed yet, even though it looks like something I would love. I've never really liked Spelunky or Rogue Legacy or really anything kind of in that genre. But I will say the things that I've heard, and I was actually listening to Nintendo Dads the last couple of weeks. They've mentioned it, but this week specifically, Marty was talking a lot about it. He really likes it a lot, and it kind of got me interested. If you're looking for something small, I want to say it's either $14.99 or
yeah, it's $14.99.
So I mean, for $15, I mean, there's a lot of charm and just a lot of character.
The art design is really good.
Yeah. So that's one to look for. Again, on your Switch, if you're done with Zelda, you need a break from smashing shells into people on Mario Kart. It's I'm sure a nice little deterrent from that. So all right, what else, man? What else are you playing?
And then, oh man, I feel so bad for you guys not being able to play this. But What Remains of Edith Finch?
I really do want to play it.
So good. I hate the term walking simulator because I think it has a negative derivative term. It's a negative derivative term. Yeah. But to me, I would say as an adventure game, it's about perfect. Like I don't want to spoil anything too much, but as you know, you go back to the house where your family was at, and most of them have passed away, and you're going through this house, learning about where your ancestors are from. And it's neat because it sounds boring, but when you learn about somebody, there's different gameplay elements and everything. Like,
that's cool.
It's on another level. It's probably one of my top 5 games of the year. It might move higher. Yeah, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting much. I liked the Unfinished Swan, the previous game the developers made, but this takes it to another level.
Yeah, I mean, the disappointing thing is that this is not on Xbox, and I don't have a PlayStation.
You can get it for PC, so
yeah, but PC. But I'm a Mac guy, so I'm just kind of boned, either way. These are probably one of my favorite genres. I mean, I love like Gone Home, and I love Firewatch, and the vibe that I got from it reminds me of Dear Esther, which I also absolutely love.
Yeah.
So this is definitely on my radar. I'm hoping it comes to Xbox at some point. So we'll see. But yeah, it looks great. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. That it's really good.
Yeah, it's not very long too, which is probably it goes in its game favor because you can find secrets and you can explore more. There's a few relatives that I actually didn't run into, so I want to go back and check out because everyone that you run into, like I said, it's so unique with the gameplay elements. Like there's a horror aspect and there's like flight sim stuff. I don't, like I said, I can't spoil it because it's a game you just have to play. It's something special. That's cool. When I wrote my review, I said this game's great on Twitter. That's all I needed to say.
Where's that? Oh, your review on Twitter? Just like my Mario Kart review? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
That's what we're doing now, folks. We're just giving our whole reviews in one tweet.
Or on the Josh Brandt scale, 2 thumbs up. That's yay hole.
Yeah. So you can follow us on Twitter for all of our amazing, insightful reviews. What else, man?
And then finally, Little Nightmares came out.
Right, that came out. Yep.
And my goodness, it's so freaky. Like I wasn't expecting to be like as like I'm used to games that have that feel like Inside or the other one they made
Limbo.
Mm-hmm. Limbo, yeah. But this takes it. The things you run into, it's just very creepy and unsettling, like the monstrosities you see.
Yeah.
And but it's great otherwise. The controls, it's a little hard to control sometimes. I don't think the button placements are too well executed with the form of the game. I guess it works for it because you have to feel like you're helpless and there's these big tentacle things and these bloated bad guys coming after you. So it's really, it's again another game I would recommend playing if you're into that.
Is that on Xbox too?
Yeah, it's on Xbox, PS4.
Okay. Yeah. See, I don't normally do the spookies, to be honest, but it definitely caught my eye. It's 2D, right? Or is it's like side scrolling like
it looks like no, it's 3D. You can go you can go on all planes.
Okay.
But it does look like it's like a 2.5D
Gotcha.
But yeah,
okay.
you can move in all directions. And yeah, there's a lot of environmental puzzle elements. Yeah, like I said, it reminds me a lot of Inside.
Yeah.
But it's not as clever. Like some of the puzzles are more straightforward than this, and there's no real like awesome gameplay hook that Inside had. But if you're into horror games, it's generally disturbing. Like like what am I getting into? And the setting is awesome. Like being on the ship that you don't know where it's going or what these inhabitants are doing. It's sort of freaky in that way. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's another one to recommend. There's been a lot of good, like I said, this year just keeps the hits coming. I can't keep up with them all, really.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And it's these big tentpole releases that are then filled in with these little things that you weren't necessarily expecting, right? Like we got Resident Evil, big tentpole. We got Horizon and Zelda and Mass Effect, and now we have Prey, which came out today, and it's like these big AAA like tentpole games. But then it's been the little ones, I mean, I would say things like Puyo Puyo Tetris has been really, really big. Yeah. Tumbleseed, you're talking about, Edith Finch, and there's just been a lot of these little great games that have kind of been sprinkled in, which has been really nice.
Yeah, especially on the Switch. They've been when people said there were no games, that's not been the case at all.
No, not at all. Yeah, there's plenty to play. All right, so with that said, so I'll go through mine, and I don't have a super long list, but I've been playing a ton of Mario Kart. I absolutely love Mario Kart. We talked about it a lot last week. I gave you my review, which is it's brilliant, and it is. I mean, I was talking to Steven. So Steven, hi, if you're listening, he got mad at me at work because I called it the greatest racing game of all time, and he kind of gets ticked off when he's he sees the finish line, and then he gets smacked with a blue shell and then a red shell, and then comes in fourth place. And look, rubber banding has always been part of Mario Kart, and it is frustrating at times, but it just is. You just learn to accept it as part of the game, and
there is a skill level too, a deep skill level to it, with the jumping at the right time to get the boost, with the coins, with the whole drifting.
There's a lot of skill, and it's just good, man. I've 3-star all of the 50cc cups and most of the 100cc cups. So I'm trying. I'm
doing the same thing.
I'm just going through and cleaning house, and I just absolutely love it. I will take this time real quick to give a shout out to the Super Indie Podcast group. So if you guys haven't been kind of following us on Twitter, or we talked about this a little bit, but so Bobby Pauls and Sean Capri, I think they kind of headed up, but basically they got like 10 or 12 kind of indie podcast groups together and started a tournament, and we ran it last weekend, and it's actually running right now. I was playing a little bit before we logged on, and I'm going to jump back in as soon as we're done. Actually, Sean was going to be here. Sean was going to guest host with us since James was gone, and he was like, man, I already planned to stream, and he's like, I really want to do the show, but but
everybody we called was already playing.
yeah, they're already playing. He's like, man, I feel really bad. I'm like, dude, don't even worry about it. So we're never gonna have Sean on the show because he stood us up. So Sean, you can you're a loser. Look, it's we definitely want to play.
Love you,
yeah, we love you. It's been a ton of fun. So anyways, so you guys look that up, and so if you're playing Mario Kart, definitely come play with us. If you go to any of our Twitters, you'll see we've all been tweeting it out. You can find the code there. So let's see what else. I'm still playing Zelda. I'm about to jump into the Death Mountain Divine Beast. I forget his name, but the lizard beast. And so I'm working on that. I'm trying to work up the hill with the Goron. So that's kind of where I am there.
That's a game I thought I would never stop playing, but I don't think I've touched it in about 3 weeks now, which is crazy to me. Yeah, I love the game, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, something came out. It may have just been Puyo Puyo Tetris, and I think I spent like 2 or 3 days like not touching it, and then but I think once you kind of load back up and you get back in Hyrule, you just can't help but just want to play for a while. So I'm switching back and forth between those two, and then I'll say this: we talked a lot about if you guys go to our YouTube channel, we do these things called break rooms, and so they're not audio podcasts. So if you're just audio listeners and you're hearing this, check out our YouTube page. We do these breakout sessions that are shorter, kind of bite-sized, topic-based
as
little
James
shows.
says, water cooler conversation. In your face. In
your face. That's right. Water cooler conversation. So we talk about a lot of different stuff. But last week we talked about the Nintendo 2DS, the new Nintendo 2DS XL, which I'm super jazzed for. But I mention it just to say that because we talked about it a lot last week and the announcement happened, I actually went back to my 3DS and I've been playing a lot of Pocket Card Jockey, which I still just absolutely love that game. I can do 2 or 3 races. And it's super fun. And then Shovel Knight finally updated Treasure Trove to all the other platforms. So if you, by the way, PSA, if you own Shovel Knight on the 3DS or on the Wii U or PlayStation or Xbox, the version that you have has now been updated to Treasure Trove, which includes all 3 knights. So you get Shovel Knight, Plague Knight, and Spectre Knight. And so I just wanted to kind of see it back on the 3DS screen, and for all the games that I don't play a lot with 3D, but Shovel Knight has this great like 4-layer 3D effect that just looks super, super great and super crisp in 3D. So I actually was playing through some Shovel Knight on my 3DS again, and so it's been good to play it a little bit. I actually for a while never thought I'd play the 3DS again, but having it out and playing with it has been kind of fun. So that's about it for me. We have some stuff coming up. Are you going to buy Prey, Josh?
I already have it.
You have it, okay.
I have it all downloaded, ready to go.
All right, good.
Sometime tonight.
So we'll be talking a lot about Prey, I'm sure, next week, because Josh will be diving into that, and we'll have some other stuff to share. But that's it for what we're playing. We're gonna kind of move on here and to our next segment, which we like to call Captain's Log.
The log.
The log. Captain's
slender log.
Oh, Josh, I'm never going to give you up. I'm never going to let you down. I'm
never going to hurt you, babe. What does he say? I'm never going to let you up.
Never going to let you down.
Never going to fool.
No, not fool around. I think it's turn around.
Turn around and desert you.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay. Who cares? All right, so news. Let's jump into some news. So look, I have some topics that I want to cover. To be fair, it's actually been a relatively slow news week, but there are just a few things that we want to kind of make mention of. So I'll throw some things out. Let's start with Mario Kart 8. We were just talking about Mario Kart 8, so it's a good place to kind of continue the conversation. It's selling pretty good. Selling pretty stinking good. Not bad at all. So it came out on the 28th. So as we record this, it's been out for exactly 2 weeks. And is that right? No, it's been out for 1 week, right? Wait a second. Because today is the 5th. And it came out. No, yeah, it's 1 week. 1 week.
Yeah. Oh, crap. I guess man, it seems like it's.
I've been playing way too much more. I thought it's only been 2 weeks. Yeah, it's just been 1 week. So in 1 week, it's already so they did announce in the first 3 days that it was the fastest selling Mario, or the best best launch that Mario Kart's ever had. And now at the week mark, it's already reached 1 million units sold. And again, that's impressive. If for no other reason, then there's probably only 3 million Switches in the wild right now.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's not as good as Zelda. But
nothing can be as good as Zelda.
Yeah, that's true. 100%. You have to remember, Mario Kart's a 3-year-old. It's 3-year-old, right? It's 2004.
I don't remember.
I think it's 2014. So a 3-year-old game that a lot of people played on their Wii U. So to already have a million units sold, that's
I guess a lot
good.
of Wii U owners played it, but no one else.
Well, that's true.
The lack of Wii U's.
And when you say a lot of Wii U owners, that clearly doesn't mean very many people, because
right.
there were not a lot. So
small sample size.
All right. So anyway, so Mario Kart 8 is selling good. We're glad to hear that. We're having a lot of fun with it. And so again, this just goes to we keep talking about Switch and how Nintendo is going to see Switch become a success. And the two things you always look for are install base and then attach rate. And so what they're telling you is that the console is selling, which is good, and the people are buying software, which is great. And so to hear that, that's really good. The only other thing I have in the Nintendo Park is the loose rumor of the Mario crossover game with Raving Rabbids. So this was actually tweeted out, I want to say by, and I should have pulled it up and I didn't, so I apologize. I want to say it was by an editor or a writer at Kotaku, who basically just tweeted out to remind everybody, hey, this game does exist. But from the sound of it, it is a light RPG, and it stars Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi, I believe, and then 4 Rabbids. And again, this is all rumor, but 4 Rabbids that are also
Jason Schreier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So and then 4 Rabbids who are also dressed as Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi, which is pretty funny in and of itself. But a lot of people are wondering what this is and why this is happening.
It's Mario Party.
See, I don't think it's. I think it is going to be kind of a Mario RPG-esque. But here's the thing: you need to think of this game more like Hyrule Warriors than Paper Mario, because Nintendo's not developing this game. They're working with Ubisoft, but Ubisoft is developing this game, right? So this is their team, and they're kind of taking lead on it, just like with Hyrule Warriors. I forget the name of the company that does the Dynasty Warrior.
Koei Tecmo. Yeah,
so Koei Tecmo did Hyrule Warriors with Nintendo's blessing and Nintendo's characters, and I'm sure that they were somewhat involved, but Nintendo did not design that game. So that's kind of what you need to kind of wrap your mind around with this game. It's going to be probably quirky. It's going to be hopefully pretty funny. Some of those the Rabbit games have been pretty funny. But look,
like Minions, then you'll love Rabbids. And I don't love Minions, even though every kid loves those annoying things for some. So I think they're going to gobble this up.
Sure. Yeah, this is great. I assume this will be a big E3 reveal. And look, if you can give us Mario Odyssey for the hardcore gamers like us in the fall, and then give us Mario and the Rabbids that maybe it'll skew a little bit younger. I mean, bring it on. Look, more games are good, especially when we're getting third parties involved. So no complaints there. All right, let's move over. I do have PlayStation kind of focus news. Just one little tidbit that I found. If you guys are still playing Call of Duty Black Ops 3, now check this out. This is a game from 2 years ago, right? Because we had what was Infinite Warfare, right? Infinite Warfare was last year, and then they just announced WW2 coming out. Not WW Bush, but WW2, which is coming out this year. But this is actually going back to Black Ops 3. And what they're doing is they have Activision is releasing DLC for it's going to be first on the PlayStation 4, and this is next week on May 16th. And then about a month later, it's going to come to Xbox. But they're releasing what they're calling the Zombie Chronicles, which is basically all of the zombie modes from all of the previous games. So they're going to get all the zombie modes from Call of Duty World at War, all of them from Black Ops, and all of them from Black Ops 2. So that's super cool. I mean, if you bought Black Ops 3 and you like zombies, to be able to kind of pull all those zombie modes in under one umbrella in one game, like that's super cool, for fans of that. So if you play on PlayStation 4, you still have Black Ops 3. You can look for that on May 16th, and then about a month later, that'll be dropping on Xbox. And keeping with Activision, there's a game that we always love to talk about on this show. One of my favorite games, really, a game called Overwatch.
We know your love, your outspoken, devoted love.
But since we're talking about Activision, they actually announced this week that Overwatch has become their 8th franchise to sell $1 billion.
Blizzard knows how to make games. That's what that proves.
Yeah, that's crazy. So here are your 8: StarCraft, Diablo, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Call of Duty, Destiny, Skylanders, and now Overwatch. So, hey, man, people like that Overwatch, right?
Love it. Still playing it. I still go every time they announce something new. I'll be back in. Yeah. And then I find new things I love about it.
Yeah.
And hate about it. When people don't get on the payload. Do the objective. This isn't a kill spree game.
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Not many people do unless you play Overwatch.
Well, there's
any online multiplayer. Just do the objective.
There's a lot of you. Did they have like 30 million people concurrent like not too long ago?
Yeah, that was one of our news stories maybe 2 weeks ago.
That is crazy.
It just keeps growing. It's not shrinking because they give you reasons to come back. That's it. And the gameplay loop's great. And then adding new modes like this horde mode that they had the last time out. They just, like I said, they keep innovating in different ways and trying different things. Now that's something they said they're going to keep up with, our horde mode like gameplay things, like when they probably go about having their Halloween special and whatever else, Christmas specials, they'll have horde modes dedicated to that, more in depth. And nailing it.
You can't argue with success, man. And they are making money. So that's what they're in business to do. They're doing well.
Yep.
Let me ask you a question. You play fighting games? You like fighting games, Josh?
I'm not a big fighting game fan. Like Super Smash Brothers is like the only type that I really enjoy. And I'll play Injustice just because I like seeing DC characters beat themselves up. which is basically every DC movie that they make. Right.
So.
Seeing Superman power drive someone through planet Earth is always appealing.
So we have Guardians came out today. We have Justice League. Wonder Woman comes out in a couple of weeks. And then later on the fall, we have Justice League going up against Thor. So just Marvel and DC, man, they're right.
You mean Justice League? Is it the Justice League in Marvel? Thor, you said.
No, I said Thor. Yeah, so I'm saying, so in the fall we have Thor for Marvel and then Justice League.
What is this crossover I'm missing?
Yeah, no. So that being said, they're also doing this with video games.
Yeah.
Because we have Injustice, which is the Injustice 2, which is the DC fighting game, and then we have now Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Both games due out this year. So we have news for both of them. The first one will start with Marvel since they're the best. They announced Groot as Rocket Raccoon. Groot's actually
I am Groot.
Not playable, but he's part of the Rocket's like super move. The animation includes Groot, but no, it's Rocket Raccoon. So Rocket Raccoon is going to be playable in Marvel vs. Capcom. And I'm not a huge fan of fighting games, and I've never played a Marvel vs. Capcom game. But you give me Captain Marvel, and now you give me Rocket Raccoon, and I'm pretty excited about this game.
Yeah. And don't forget, Chris Redfield was also announced. I know your favorite Resident Evil man.
Yeah,
Who punches rocks.
you know how much I love those Resident Evil characters. So
I'm surprised you never played Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, I just the fighting game bug never really. I maybe I'm just too dumb to remember all the moves. I don't know what it is. It just never. I've always been intrigued by it. I remember when I was real young, like 8 to 10-year-old range, we would go to the mall back when they still had arcades. I would always go to the arcade and I would watch these witches with their magic hands,
witchcraft people.
Yeah, it's like what kind of magic is this? And they would just tear those joysticks apart, beating the crap out of each other. And I just watched and wonder. And then I would step up and I'd put my coin, and I could never even land a punch. I just got beat to death. So
it takes a level of dedication, and it does take skill, and maybe that's why we don't play. We don't have any skill, obviously.
Yes, we'll stick with walking simulators because look, no matter what happens, we definitely know how to walk. So that's good.
And we can't go off the beaten path too far. So
no, that's true. All right, so that's the Marvel news. Over to Injustice 2. So Injustice 2 is actually good. They're actually going to be out first. They're actually out in a couple of weeks. I think it's May 19th. I think, and then Marvel vs. Capcom's I think it's supposed to be September. So Injustice is right around the corner, but they announced their first DLC pack, which will have the characters included. That will be Starfire, Red Hood, and Sub-Zero, representing from the Mortal Kombat series. If you were worried if StarCraft was going to be wearing clothes, I'm sorry, not StarCraft, Starfire. Starfire. If you're worried,
StarCraft wearing clothes.
If you're worried that Starfire was going to be wearing clothes, she's not. She's definitely just in barely a bathing suit. But yeah, that could be interesting. I actually just watched the new Teen Titan the Judas Contract, the animated movie, and it was good. If you follow comics and you know that the old story, I want to say Peter David, but I'm not sure it was him. But one of the probably most popular Teen Titan story arcs was the Judas Contract with Terra, and so they turned it into an animated series, which was good. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good. But Starfire was pretty big,
It's funny. They are like reaching into the deepest, darkest depths to bring up these characters that only like the person that sits in front of their DC Comics reading all day know about. Probably.
I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
I've always been a pretty big comic nerd. I know these. Red Hood is Jason Todd, who was the second Robin, who, was dead.
I have no clue about this stuff.
Yeah, he was dead, but he came back to life. And Starfire has always been, a half-naked alien chick on the Teen Titans, which the Teen Titans, if you think about it, she would have been a teenager, so she probably should have put more clothes on. But let's not open that can of worms. Anyway, there's your Injustice update. So if you're looking forward to those characters, they will be a part of the first DLC pack. I want to mention two more things, and then we'll transition to our topic. I want to give a shout out to a game that we talked about last week, made by Rain and Rain Games. It's called World to the West. They were the company that made Teslagrad, which we talked about that a little bit too. And that's a game that I know James really likes. And he brought it up on the last show, World to the West. And as soon as we got done with the show, I went and watched the trailer. And World to the West looks phenomenal. It looks like it's gorgeous. It has a great art style, and I really liked it. And it actually came out today. So as we're recording, May 5th, the game is live everywhere except for Switch. But I tweeted at Rain Games right after the show, and I was like, hey, we gave a shout out to World of the West on the podcast. Any chance we're going to get a Switch version? And then we had one of their, I believe it's their art. I believe one of the artists from Rain Games, he wrote back his. I was going to give you his name. I was looking at his Twitter, but his Twitter is not his real name. His Twitter is Calamity Oriwaru, or maybe that is his real name. Maybe that is his real name. I'm not really sure, but anyway, he's an artist there for Rain Games, and he responded back and he said that he basically just said it's not an announcement, but we definitely like to make one, meaning a Switch version of World to the West, which then I retweeted and said, you guys heard it here first. They're making it for Switch. News break going to GameScoop to Life of Gaming. But look, the game looks great. If you have another platform, you guys need to take a look at World to the West. It looks really, really great, and this is a really good studio. So take a look. But hopefully, for us Switch owners, we may get a version of that down the road, which I thought was kind of cool that they took the time to respond.
Just wait, yeah.
All right, last bit of news, and then we'll move into our topic. They announced a game that I messed up in pre-show, so I'm going to make sure I'm reading it. What did I say? I said, I said The Darkness 3.
Yeah, The Darkness. Like, where'd this news come from?
Let's bring
back a non-successful franchise.
Yeah, that's a huge scoop if we were able to to announce The Darkness.
It probably is festering somewhere.
We'll see. But no, Darksiders 3. So THQ Nordic and Gunfire Games have announced they actually are part of IGN's first. So IGN got to announce it first, but they announced Darksiders 3. So if you're unfamiliar with Darksiders is probably the closest thing to a Zelda game that we have not made by Nintendo. It's kind of like maybe Zelda mixed with God of War is the way that I typically
Portal mixed with.
Yeah, they got some stuff. Yeah, but I mean, when people normally ask me, I normally tell them it's like God of War combat meets Zelda gameplay, because you basically go into dungeons or areas, and it's puzzle solving, and then you get a weapon, and that weapon is how you defeat the boss and how you get to other areas on in the map. And it's very, very Zelda like, traditional Zelda, not Breath of the Wild, more like Ocarina type. So the first game, so basically it's about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And so the first game, you played as War, I believe, right?
It's War.
Yeah, War was
then
first, and then
Death, and
so War had a big sword, and he rode a big horse, and he was basically just like
War.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was basically like if Link and Marcus Phoenix had a baby. That's kind of what War was. And
I like the analogy.
That isn't actually possible, but they're also made up characters, so why not? The second game focused on Death, and it was more combat heavy, and Death had these really sweet scythe blades that were connected by a chain, and I got really big vibes of God of War from that game. And then it kind of died for a long time. And they just recently released definitive, I forget what they call them, but remastered versions of both 1 and 2. And
definitive version.
Oh, is that really what it's called?
That's what the second one's called.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious. So they announced now that Darksiders 3 is coming. You are going to play your main character now is Fury, who is a girl. If you're keeping tabs at home, these are not the biblical four horsemen. The four horsemen, from a biblical standpoint, are war, death, famine, and pestilence. Famine and pestilence aren't really super.
You can't
sexy,
really make
characters.
They're the rejects.
Yeah. So they actually turned those two into Fury and Strife in the series, and this actually goes back to the first one. They mention all four of them in the first one, so this isn't brand new. From the beginning, it was always war, Death, Fury, and Strife. So those are your four horsemen in this universe. The other really cool thing about this game is that she basically, so Fury is a girl, a female protagonist, and her job is to take down physical versions of the 7 deadly sins. So basically, there are 7 bosses in the world that she's trying to take down. They're all based on the 7 deadly sins. So things like
cool.
Sloth and gluttony and lust, and again, 7 deadly sins.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, yeah, a little bit. Or the Brad Pitt movie 7. So it looks really good. I mean, did you play the Darksiders games?
No, I own the second one, but I never played it. It's something I'm in my backlog, just never got to, but I keep hearing good things about it, so maybe I'll mess around with it at some point.
So the reason I even was intrigued is the design of the characters were originally done by Joe Mad, and I can't ever say his last name. It's Madureira or something similar to that. But Joe Mad, comic book artist. I fell in love with him in the probably not late 90s, probably early 2000s. He did like a great run on X-Men, and my favorite characters were always Angel and Psylocke, and they had a whole thing with Angel and Psylocke, and he drew those characters just so great, and I loved the art design. And so he actually designed I don't know that he's still associated with the game, but I mean, this is all keeping with the art design that he kind of led. And so I love the design of the characters and the design of the world. So I really dig that. And cool. So anyway, so Darksiders 3, it's not due out till next year, so it was literally just the reveal of the game on IGN. I assume that we'll get some I believe on Unlocked, Alana said that she actually got to play a little bit of it.
She said on Beyond too.
Okay, yeah. So there was at least, there's at least a build out there. So at least there's, they're far along with it. So,
you can actually watch it if you go to IGN. They have gameplay now.
Okay, all right. Well, good. So I could maybe see that being a early next year game, like maybe around even like a January Resident Evil kind of time, or maybe like a March, Horizon Zelda window. We can maybe see that.
That would be perfect.
So I assume that we'll get that all revealed at E3. So that does it for the news. Is there anything else you can think of, Josh, off the top of your head you got?
Yeah, I can mention one other thing. It's not that big of a deal, but the new Neo DLC.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you mentioned that. May 2nd. It's called Dragon of the North. And what the big thing it adds is player versus player combat. So as long as you have PS Plus subscription, which the combat in the game is very fast, unlike Dark Souls. So it was a lot of fun in that regard, and I could see this. There were times when you would go against actual NPCs that actually fought real well, like you were playing against someone. So I imagine playing against real people would probably you'd have to have a lot of skill, and it's a very skilled like fighting system. So it's perfect for a game like this. And then it adds new story content. Some new armor sets, weapons, some new enemies, normal DLC stuff. So
that's awesome.
Check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you beat it, Nier?
I know Neo.
Oh, Neo. Sorry.
I want to play Nier Automata too, though.
Yeah.
I'll get back to that. But
too many in games.
Right. But yeah, I never beat it. I probably got about a little over halfway through it, and it's nothing against the game. Like I said, I don't think it's as good as the Souls games, but for my Souls fix this year, since there isn't a new one, I had to pick something. And luckily, this came out, and it was fantastic. But there's just too much other stuff that I want to get to and play around, and that's one thing I just want to mention this off the cuff. But if you're really into games, don't feel like you have to finish everything, because there are a lot of games, unless I'm reviewing, that I never finish. So there's just too much to play. And, even if you're run out of time playing it with it, and not having fun with it, why go on? Or, it lacks, if you want to move on to something else, just go for it,
Yeah, I mean, gaming should really never be a chore. I mean, it's invented as escapism or as a form of entertainment. So if you're not enjoying something, then forcing yourself to play it is just going to hurt you in the long run. I mean, you can put it down for a little while and then maybe come back to it. Or heck, if you just don't really enjoy playing it, go to YouTube and you can watch somebody play the ending so you can know how the story wraps up if that's your thing, and then you can move on. But just playing a game and burning yourself out is not healthy. So yeah, I would agree with that as well. So
yep.
All right, I think that's it for news. So with that, we're going to jump into our topic of week. And so as we always do, we kick it over to Josh. Josh, hit it.
Hooked on the feeling.
Ba-da-bow.
I'm only believing
Ba-da-dow.
that you're in love with me.
I am in love with you, Josh. After singing,
love you too, man.
After singing some Guardian soundtrack, I can't help myself.
Oh man, it's so good. I love that soundtrack.
The music is good. The music in the second one is really good too. They got some good tracks.
Pick the best. Yeah.
They play Brandy like a lot, and that's fine. I love it. They play Cat Stevens, father and son, which at the perfect time in the movie, and it's just really great.
Oh, that hit hard, man. They choose the perfect spots. Like that opening for the movie was just
man, it's so good.
Perfect.
And then they do what's the song they do when they're in the space battle? It's the oh crap, I can't remember. It's the name of it's like
yeah. I knew more of the songs from the first movie than the second one. Like they weren't as well known, but it's still all great.
Yeah, it's
classic.
Good. It's good. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy is not our topic, but a couple. But Guardians I know Guardians of the Galaxy did happen. And what else happened is yesterday, as we're recording,
that's good
for you. It'll be last week, was a little day that we like to call Star Wars Day, also known as May the 4th. That's right.
Be with you.
May the 4th be with you. So we actually on the chat, we were talking about, Star Wars games that we really liked. And, I jumped in there on, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I jumped in the chat pretty early on May the 4th and just told everybody May the 4th be with you, and got us talking about some Star Wars games. And so I thought that'd be a good topic. It's relevant to the week, and it's relevant probably to our audience. So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of break this up into little segments, but we're going to start with history. So maybe one or two of what you would consider your favorite Star Wars games. We'll talk about the Star Wars games that we know that are coming up and how we feel about them, and then we'll end by just talking about what we'd like to see maybe in the coming years. So Josh, I'll let you kind of jump in here. What's your favorite Star Wars game, man?
Okay, I'm not sure if it's my favorite, but it's the most memorable for me, and it came out for the Nintendo 64. Okay. Remember playing Star Wars Shadows of the Empire? Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if that's really a
Dash
good game.
Rendar? Oh, man.
Yep, Dash Rendar. Had,
the Outrider, man. The Outrider.
I remember the train. Yeah, the Outrider had the train level with that
IG-88.
IG-88, yeah.
Oh, man.
Which you see in Empire Strikes Back, by the way.
Yeah.
That game was it's so a relic of its time. Like I can see it not being as good now, but back in the day when you actually had a jetpack and you took part in the Hoth battle. I mean, there was some crossover areas there. An actual area where you go out in space in the Outrider. Yeah, it was surprisingly well put together.
They so little fact, that was on N64. I don't have the date right in front of me, but it was in the late 90s when they re-released the right before episode 1 came out. I don't know if you remember this, but right before episode 1 came out, leading up to like the year before episode 1, so that would have been 98 maybe. They released like 1 month apart all 3 of the original movies with the special edition when Lucas went back and said, "I'm gonna fix everything," or he said it more like this, "I'm gonna fix everything," and
just like that.
He went back in and jacked with everything, but in the special edition, which you can still find now because that's all that they will sell us, in the special edition of A New Hope, whenever they're Ben and Obi-Wan and Luke are riding into Mos Eisley, you can see the Outrider lift up out of one of the bays and fly off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man. The Outrider was
have to go back and see that.
Yeah. So the Outrider was like a smaller version of the Millennium Falcon, but then it had that cool thing where it would break out and go sideways like a B-wing. So it was like a freaking B-wing. Dude, I could talk about Shadows of the Empire all the time. I agree that's a game that we probably, if we go back to it, N64 games, I think of all the games, N64 and PlayStation 1 era games, of all the games, are the hardest ones to really go back to. But man, I had a lot of great memories with. It's so good, so good.
It is.
Okay, so for me, we can talk about a few more. Because I have a couple more.
We'll go back and forth. Yeah.
So for me though, if I had to pick probably my favorite Star Wars game, it would be Rogue Leader, which was Rogue Squadron 2, which launched with the GameCube in 2001. So Rogue Squadron came out on the N64, and it was great. Like, it was great. It had to have the RAM pack. And I actually, I think it actually came with the RAM pack. I think it was the game that they forced you to buy the RAM pack with it, if I remember correctly. And then shortly after they did, Rogue Squadron, they did the because it was that episode 1 was coming out, and they did the Battle for Naboo, I think was what it was called. So same team, very similar, but you were playing episode 1 stuff, and then they launched the GameCube, and they launched it with Rogue Squadron 2, which was called Rogue Leader. And to be completely honest, it was a lot of rehashing of Rogue Squadron 1, that you played Hoth again, and you played the Battle over Endor.
We revisit Hoth a lot.
Yeah. But just the graphical jump from the N64 to the GameCube was just so great, and that game looked good. And
at the time, it was the best looking game probably out.
And it played so well. I remember, and again, I don't have any of this stuff in front of me, so if you're diehard fans of this stuff, please don't hate me. I want to say there was only like 6 or 7 vehicles in the original, and they had to at least have doubled that by the second one. I mean, you could do B wings, and you could do Y wings and A wings, and you even got to the point where you could unlock like slave 1, and you could unlock.
What about the Naboo fighter?
Yeah,
the
Naboo fighter.
Was that the N64 one? I can't remember.
I think it was in. It may have been in both, but I'm pretty sure it was in Rogue Leader too. But man, I tell you what, I've always loved. Like, I've always loved Star Wars. Star Wars has always been huge, but I've always loved the idea of piloting those ships.
Space battles are some of the best.
So good, man. And so anyway, so that's instantly when somebody asks me, that's almost always the first game that comes to my mind, because I walked out of Kmart. RIP, with my Switch. I got a black, not Switch, Lord, a GameCube. I got a black lunchbox.
Back to the future.
I know. I got a black lunchbox GameCube, and I walked out with Luigi's Mansion, and I walked out with Rogue Leader, and those were the only 2 games. I was in college, man, and it came out in November, so it was cold, and it was right before the home stretch going into finals, and I just remember I didn't get another game till Christmas. So from launch until Christmas, all I had was Luigi's Mansion and Star Wars, dude. I played so stinking much Rogue Leader. But all right, give me another one.
Okay, I'm going to lump these 2 together because they're sort of tied. Okay. Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, and then Star Wars Jedi Knight. What was that? Let me get the full name. Jedi Outcast. Jedi Knight 2.
Yep. Outcast.
They follow. Okay, I forget the last
Kyle
name.
Katarn.
Kyle Katarn. Yes. And his trusty droid against I forget his name, in Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. It was in 1997, and then the sequel didn't come out until 2002. Yep. So it's a pretty big graphical leap, but you could sell from the original Dark Forces to Dark Forces 2. They look pretty much the same, only the environments are a lot larger, and in this one you get to, it's probably at that time the best use of having a lightsaber and using force powers, and it had a cool hook where you could choose to be light or dark, and the FMV sequences were corny, but they really worked, and they did the 2 different ones depending on what side you took. But yeah, it was I just remember that all the weapons you got, it was pretty much like a Doom Star Wars, pretty much.
First person shooter, but you got to have a lightsaber, which was very rare and super cool. But I think that what really stood out about that game was it was early on one of the first games that really kind of lets you choose between good and bad. This is stuff that nowadays you play things like Mass Effect and stuff, and that's just kind of par for the course. But back then, man, they didn't have a lot of games like that, especially like licensed games, and to be able to let your guy kind of go bad. And this is something, to be honest, I still don't think a Star Wars game is really nailed. I think that we'll talk about another game in a minute, but just the ability to kind of, if you want to maybe take some of the darker powers, that's kind of a cool thing.
And it was really awesome. You like the force lightning and the choking ability. Then if you're on the light side, the force push and, deflecting projectiles. It just felt so good. And then the second game, up the ante. You used pretty much in the second game, you use the lightsaber exclusively if you didn't want to get killed, but it worked so well that you didn't mind. So I look back fondly on those games. Definitely.
Those are good games, man. Very good.
They are.
Okay, so I'll go next. Since you did a lump, I'll do a lump too, and I'm gonna actually lump 4 games together.
Whoa.
And these are going to be the Lego Star Wars games. So we had Lego Star Wars, the original trilogy. We had Lego Star Wars, the prequels, which then eventually came together as the complete saga. Then we had Lego Star Wars 3, which was based on the Clone Wars animated series. And then we had a Lego Star Wars, The Force Awakens, which came out a couple of years ago. And of course, by far, Force Awakens is the better of the games, just, in lieu of the fact that it has came out last, and so they had all those those improvements and years to kind of work on the formula. But man, I tell you what, dude, I absolutely love the Lego games. I always have, but I don't think any of them catch the magic that the Star Wars games catch. And I think it's because it's a perfect balance of hack and slash with lightsabers, and then gun stuff, and then ship battles, because half of Star Wars is battles, like dogfights and stuff. And so to be able to kind of mix all that together with the Lego aesthetic, I have absolutely loved and played all of those games. And it's a game that I can play with my kids. I can sit up, and we can play 2-player, and which is a lot of fun. And then it's something I can just play alone, and I enjoy it. And it's not something that's super hard. It's not something that's super tedious. It's just a nice way to kind of unplug and just kind of live in this fun, comical version of the Star Wars universe. So I absolutely love all of the Lego games. Highly recommend Force Awakens is one of my probably my favorite Star Wars games ever. So
yeah, I'm not a big Lego fan in general of the video games, but I understand why. I understand why people like them. They're just not for me. And like I said, my kids enjoy them. They don't find as much enjoyment as I do. But
sure. All right, give me one more that you would say is one you remember fondly.
Oh man, I'm gonna catch heat for this, but I think we're going to throw out some good ones like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I can't argue that that's one of the best games of all time. Yeah. But that's not mine. And Battlefront, I had fun with the new Battlefronts, but I'm going to go back to the PS1 like PC era again. And this is just a silly title to mention, but Star Wars, The Phantom Menace for the PC.
Okay.
As generic as you can be, but dude, I'm telling you, it was actually really fun. It actually you played as all the characters, and it had some like puzzle solving elements to it, and the environments opened up. It wasn't like a linear experience. Like you talked to different characters and you could give them things, and then the combat you had, of course, the lightsaber with Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, but then you had your blasters with Captain Panaka and what's her name? Queen Amidala. Yeah. So I can't really talk too much because I have fond memories from it. Because I remember thinking back in the day, this is just a generic game, and it actually was really good. So, and I gotta throw my hat in the into the I didn't play much of Rogue Squadron. I wish I had something to play. I wish I had the GameCube to play it.
So,
But X-Wing Alliance, and those games in particular, like TIE Fighter and X-Wing. But X-Wing Alliance is the one I really got into. And what was really cool about this was they took the sim level to a whole new level. Like that, you had to master everything on that keyboard. There was a control for everything. Wow. And you were actually like a freighter of a Corellian vessel. You started out, had a full story, and then you went into the Rebel or the Empire Alliance, and then you worked your way up the ranks to actually fly like cruisers and stuff. And it's a really underrated title that, if you look back at it, it came out in 1999, so it's old by today's standards, but it was really deep. And I just remember thinking that, man, this is on another level with all the things you can do. So
that's cool. Yeah, see, I missed a lot of those PC games just because I never really had a gaming PC. So I have memories of like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and stuff just from being at friends' house and stuff. But I never really got to play a lot of that kind of stuff. So I feel like I missed a chunk of
the golden era of Star Wars games. Yeah, we're on the PC, and I don't have a PC that can effectively run games now. But back in the day when they were cheaper to make and not as high powered, it was easier to do. I mean, I'm looking through this list of Star Wars games that honestly, there are so many good games, but I'm sure you're on a few more.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'm probably going to only throw out one more. I will agree with you. We're not going to get into KOTOR, but Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic is one of probably the greatest RPGs of all time. Right. And if you are a Star Wars fan, it should be at near the top of your list. It's great. I will be honest. I loved KOTOR for the story. I did not like the combat. I don't like. And again, it came. BioWare was a PC. They made a lot of PC games, and making the switch over to Xbox. It was if you haven't played it, it's very kind of stop and and choose your actions, and then they would execute. And I ended up putting that game on easy just to be able to get the story, because I loved the story, and I just didn't really like playing it. I know that's kind of blasphemy as a Star Wars fan. I would love to see a new KOTOR done in the way of Mass Effect, where cool. All the story stuff is there, but it's action based. Yeah, and you have people that that argue that Mass Effect 2 over Mass Effect 1 became more action. But look, Mass Effect 2 is my favorite game in the series. That's just the way I want to play games, So I would love to see another KOTOR, but if they make it, I really hope they update it to something like that and don't make it exactly the same way. But I'll still play it either way. No, the last game that I was going to give a shout out to was also on N64. It was called Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah.
which was a pod racing game, and
surprisingly good.
It was really good.
Fast.
It was very fast. It was very fast and very, very good. It looked great. Again, for the time, I'm pretty sure it was in 64.
Yeah, it came out during that time, and then it was ported to other.
Yeah, so I was an N64 guy, so I played on N64, but yeah, I remember just I love even now, say what you will about the prequel, say what you will about Phantom Menace, like that pod racing sequence, it may be a little long, but it is still a brilliant sequence.
But yeah, it is.
It's just so great, and those pod racers were so super cool, and to be able to kind of race around, like that, and it was just, it was a circuit racing game. It felt a little, it felt like anything. It felt like Mario Kart to a certain degree. There weren't really power-ups or anything, but it felt like any kind of racer like that. But it was just kind of cool to be set in the Star Wars universe. I really, really dug that game, and I played it a lot. So yeah, so that's mine. So look, we're not gonna be able to touch every game.
Public Commando, Bounty Hunter,
so good. Star Wars Bounty Hunter was really good. I love yeah, I mean, Republic Commando. I would love to see another Commando game, which hopefully we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Battlefront 2 in a second. Hopefully, we get just a little bit of that, there. But yeah, Republic Commando was great. I like Jedi power battles on the PlayStation, the one. I mean, there's a ton of games, and there's no way we could have. Yeah, Force Unleashed 1 and 2, man. Force Unleashed 1 was fantastic. But let's in the lieu of time, because we could do this forever. Let's move on. Let's talk about what's coming out right now. So what we know is that really the only thing we know is Battlefront 2 is coming. We do know that Motive, the Jade Raymond studio that works with EA, is working on another Star Wars game. We know that's in development. We've seen a little bit from it, like stills, concept stills. We believe initially the thought was that they were just taking Star Wars 1313 and making it into a game, but that's not what we believe anymore. We don't really know what it is. It could turn out to be something that's Han Solo related. The Han Solo movie comes out next year, so there's that possibility. But I actually think it'll be something more original. So we know that that's coming. We know that that Battlefront 2 is coming. We already know that's coming out in November. We've seen some stuff for that. There is, I mean, there's no question that we will get another Lego Star Wars game. So we know that that'll be coming as well at some point. I assume we'll probably get like Rogue One and Last Jedi stuff. So maybe the end of this year or the first part of next year.
Yeah, we're getting that one from Amy Hennig, who wrote for Uncharted.
Yeah, is that not the same game that Motive is working on?
Yeah, I think that is, but
okay, but yeah,
that was the whole
yeah.
Star Wars 1313 got derailed, and now
yeah. So let's just talk kind of right now. Are you pumped for? Or are you excited at all for Battlefront 2?
Oh man, I am. I have to say that they shouldn't hook you like this, but they just do. Like the trailer was. Really, I find this story intriguing because you don't really see anything from the Empire side that paints them in the innocent picture, and I love that about the way they're going with it. Like it's not just these evil people on this side. There's people with families and thinking they're doing this for the greater good of the galaxy. And
I mean. Great. So we were talking about Republic Commando. So Republic Commando was cool because it was really the first game that kind of puts you into a soldier's perspective in the world of Star Wars. This is the thing we talked about Rogue One a little bit on the show back when it came out. This is the thing that I loved about Rogue One because I mean the series is called Star Wars, but the saga movies. To be completely honest, the saga movies have really just been about Skywalkers. And so, so you don't really get to see a lot of really what the war does to this galaxy. And you got to see that a lot in Rogue One, and you got to see that a lot in Republic Commando, even though at that time, when Republic Commando came out, the clones were so good. They hadn't turned yet. And so you were still playing as the good guy at that time. What intrigues me here is that for our purposes, we're told watching the movies that the Empire is bad and that the Jedi are and Han and Leia, they're the good guys. So we know that story, but yeah, what happens with from the idea of the story is that this girl was raised on a planet that her family served, the Empire, and she was raised on a planet that was great. What would you say? Healthcare was affordable, and and foreign policy was good, and there were free trade, and things were good. The economy was booming, and they didn't see Ewoks getting
what they saw were this rebel force that was taking everything away.
Exactly.
Everything.
And let's understand for a minute that the rebels are technically the bad guys. You are rebelling against something. That is normally the stance of a bad guy. Now, if it's tyranny, then you need to rebel. If you look at
the empire,
well, it was, but again, if you, let's take America, right? So America, we started our own country, but we were all settlers from England, from the British Isles, and everything was going great, and the king wanted more taxes, right? And look, we're not getting into the minutia of history because that's not what this podcast is about. But ultimately, we decided that we are not going to be controlled by this is the Boston Tea Party, right? We're not going to be controlled by the taxes of the king. We are going to become independent. And what did we do? We rebelled against what we knew, the leadership of our time, and it caused a war. And it was the Revolutionary War, right? The war for America. And we won. But put yourself in a British soldier's place who you've born and raised with the British Army. You were doing your job, and now these Americans start killing all the soldiers around you. What are you supposed to do, right? You're a British soldier. You may not agree with everything the government does. Guess what? I don't agree with everything our government does, but I'm still an American, right? So it's like there's some allegiance there. So to see that trailer where she takes her helmet off and she looks up and she's just like, impossible. The Emperor gets blown up in the Death Star. It's just
see that Death Star Empire all blown up. Yeah, that's traumatizing.
I love it. And then it becomes a revenge story, and she thinks that she's in the right. And I absolutely love that story. I hope. Great. If I can say anything about this game, is I hope they don't turn her good. I hope there's never a moment where she's like, I need to be a rebel.
That's the problem, because you can't think that the story is just going to be centered around the Empire, because they have to take from both sides. So I'm thinking that's maybe they'll have some crossover, something going along that road, not just based on her, but yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Needless to say, I am super pumped for Battlefront 2. I've already pre-ordered it, and I am ready for day one. I can't wait.
9 months ahead of time, or 6.
Whatever it is. Whatever it is.
It doesn't matter. You're on top of it.
I will be playing that hardcore. So since that's the only game that we know about, like we actually have an official understanding of story, we know where that's going, let's just kind of move into the final part of this topic, which is just what do we want to see next. So we know there's one game. Well, let's just start with the game that we know is coming. So Motive is working on a game that Amy Hennig is writing, or at least helping write, helping kind of lead. So let's start there. What do you want that game to be?
Well, I want that game to be as it was portrayed before. I want it to be gritty, get into the minute details of this bigger piece of the puzzle with the Empire and the rebellion. And it would look like from the images that was going to take place in Coruscant, and maybe having get into the deeper depths of Coruscant and, actually the factions there, what's going on in the government, but also have like an awesome combat style based off of, not just twirling lightsabers around, but actually deep gameplay akin to, say, Dark Souls. I don't know. They can do so much. They can't. It's going to be hard to screw up, I believe. I think they can do a good job with the source material and lightsaber battles. And if they want to use the Force, I mean, maybe something not even based off the Force, like Rogue One. I mean, the options are wide open. Just don't screw it up. And
so
she has a pedigree, so.
That's true. Yeah. So if you're listening and you don't know what Josh is alluding to, originally, right before LucasArts kind of folded, they showed a game off called Star Wars 1313, and it took place on the planet on Coruscant. Coruscant is the capital planet of the Empire. And it is an entire planet that's been turned into a city, and it's very
just a big city.
The entire Planet City, and it goes deep, like down layers and layers and layers. And so 1313 was basically like an area of that planet, of course, and it was going to be like take place, and that's where the story was going to be. Very interesting story, very interesting premise. It looked great, the tech looked great, so you would think that they may try to carry some of that stuff over, and they might. What I hope to see with Amy Hennig coming on is just a lot of. So I will say this: a lot of people are saying that it may turn out to be a Han Solo movie, and a lot of what I've heard kind of stems from the fact
I'm hoping
that
it doesn't take anything from the main characters. I hope it's just.
I agree with that, but she writes Nathan Drake. I mean, she is, you could probably, she's one of, if not the central figure in making Nathan Drake who he is. And let's be honest, I mean, if Nathan Drake had a counterpart in Star Wars, it would be Han Solo, right? So
right.
So she has a good voice for that character, and so so it's easy to assume or feel like that's kind of her strength, where she would go. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can understand some of the thought process behind that.
Sure.
I do hope, I agree with you. The thing that I've always loved about Star Wars, and the thing that George Lucas has done from the beginning, is that he gave us a lived-in world. Very few movies, even to this day, very few movies do as good a job as Star Wars did at world building. And
minus the prequels, because that did not have that same.
Yeah, but I would still argue that maybe the visually it didn't, but here's what world building is. World building tells you something in a movie that it never explains to you, and it's not relevant to the story being told, but it still gives you some form of intrigue. Right? So whenever you watch Star Wars, you can really look at anything. Where do Jawas come off at? Right? Jawas are rolling around, they're stealing robots, and they're selling them to farmers. Luke's a farmer. What does he farm? Do you know what Luke farms on Tatooine?
Moisture evaporators or whatever.
He's a moisture farmer.
Yeah.
What do they do with the moisture, Josh?
Yeah, you have to have something to drink, I suppose.
The point is, it doesn't matter. The point is, all this stuff was layered there, and it's enough to be like, look, this is a world that needs freaking moisture evaporators. That's something that's not something that we do, right? And so it's just enough that kind of makes you think. And so it's stuff like that I love. And even the prequels give you a lot of stuff about the Senate, and a lot of stuff about even about Naboo and kind of their heritage.
All
that stuff is there.
That's good. It's just the whole prettiness of the world. It didn't feel like at that time it was just the new technology. They were showing off. They were showing it off. Like the green room. It was all new technology. So
I agree. It was too shiny. But so what I was getting at is there's so much there that I would rather see them, and I feel like this with the movies as well. But of course, this is a video game podcast. But I would rather see them take what's there, the foundation that's there, and then build on that, rather than rehashing stuff we already know. So I do hope the game that Amy Hennig is working on, the motive game, the motive game is something obviously familiar, but stars a character that maybe we don't know, or maybe a character that we know very little about. I'll be honest with you, I would absolutely love a game where I play as Cassian Andor. The lead guy from Rogue One. Yeah,
sure.
Diego Luna. because I absolutely loved that character, and there's that scene where him and Jyn are kind of facing off near the end of the movie in Rogue One, and he kind of makes the statement. He's like, I don't have a choice. I've been doing this since I've been 6 years old. This is the only life that I know. Well, when we see him, he's 30, 35, right? So he's been doing that for 30 years, for 25 years.
Just to keep the Rebel Alliance safe, he killed off one of his own workers early in that movie. Exactly. So you're right. It was all about the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. So give me a movie about him, working for the Rebel Alliance, being a spy and getting intel, and show me how he got to be the captain, or one of the main guys, in the Rebel, army.
So many storylines.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff. So I hope they do something like that.
Jar Jar Binks. Have a Jar Jar, see where he came from, right?
No, if you make it, if they make a Jar Jar Binks game, I'm going to punch you in the face for even saying that. Don't even speak it into existence. All right, real quick, we're out of time, so real quick, just dream game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's realistic or not. Pie in the sky. If you could have one project made, whatever it is, and you can assign a studio, you don't have to, just tell me the Star Wars game that you would want to play right now.
That is bam. Are you talking to the audience or me?
No, I'm talking to you, Josh. We're going to ask the audience in a second. Josh, no.
Okay.
Tell me, pie in the sky, what Star Wars game would you make? Like, if you, barring budget, barring development studio, barring anything else, George Lucas. Okay. No, wait, I got to set it up. George Lucas comes to you and he says, Josh, I'd like you to make a Star Wars game.
Why do you sound like Kermit the Frog?
Because he does, man. He sounds like Kermit the Frog. I thought you were going to say, why do I sound like James? Because James also sounds like Kermit the Frog. Oh. But no. So George Lucas writes you a blank check. Make whatever Star Wars game you want. What is it?
We watched that movie recently, Blank Check. But I would. How about a No Man's Sky Star Wars? But it's totally open world, and then you can go to different planets, learn, go to these familiar places, maybe learn about the Force, maybe become a bounty hunter, get in your ship, go out into the atmosphere, fight in battles. That would be perfection for me, but I don't see how that's ever going to happen.
Oh, dude, I love that, man. That's a great idea.
That would just total open world freedom.
Just fly around, and and I mean, it wouldn't have to be like No Man's Land, or what is it called?
No Man's Land, fool. No Man's
Sky, right? Yeah, No Man's Sky, where everything's like procedurally generated and different. Like, just give me the ability to fly to Hoth and fly to Endor and fly to Coruscant and fly to Naboo, and then just do crap on there, just like break things. I don't know.
Join the Rebel Alliance. You can join the Empire. You can become a Jedi. You can become any of that. Man, I just thought of this. This is great.
I love it. I love it.
It doesn't even have to have a story. You make your own story. Like,
make your own story, dude. Or just what if like you're a freighter, like you're a freight pilot, right? Which is what Han Solo's
Alliance,
which is what Han Solo is supposed to be. But you start out as a freight pilot, and you somehow get wrapped into the war, and you have to either decide whether you're either gonna smuggle intel for the rebels, or you're gonna deliver supplies for the Empire, and you have to avoid the other faction. Dude, I love this game. This game is fantastic.
Did I just make your perfect game?
I love it, dude.
There we go. All right,
so awesome. Good. Oh, I would buy that game in a heartbeat, man.
Me too. That'd be perfect.
In a stinking heartbeat. All right. So for me, this is hard because there's so much that I want. But to be completely honest, what I would like is to have a brand new Rogue Squadron game. And I mean, I want it to be 4K, maybe even flipping VR, state of the art graphics, just like Rogue Leader was back in the day. And I just want like a really great original story told, that isn't a rehash of the prequels. I mean, of the original trilogy. Like both, if you all three of the Rogue games, so Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, and Rebel Strike, are all three of them do the Hoth mission, all three of them do the Endor mission. Like, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see an original story told from the Rogues, and this could actually be cool. The Rogue One was called Rogue One because obviously they had to have a call sign, and in the movie, Bodhi decides to call them. Bodhi decides to call them Rogue One, but we to this point we still don't have a birth of the Rogue Squadron. So like, I
get Wedge and Tilly's in there.
Yeah, I could almost see the game. I could almost see the game picking up like right after Rogue One, where they're like, they come back and they're like, we lost Rogue One, but they got us the plans and we're gonna do this, and then that kicks off Wedge or Biggs or whoever it is being like, Rogue One, huh? Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna honor them by carrying the name, and they build the Rogue Squadron. I mean, whatever it is, I love like arcade style, flight sims, and we don't really get those a lot, and so that's what I would want. I would want a new Rogue Squadron game, or just reboot it and just call it Rogue Squadron. I don't care, but that's what I want. So that's going to be it for our show. If you're with us, you're watching us, let us know what your favorite Star Wars game is, and then tell us your pie in the sky. If you had the ability to make any Star Wars game that you wanted to make, what would it be? Let us know in the comments below. Reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know. We'd love to hear about that. And that's it, guys. James is gone. He'll be back next week, I am sure. You can follow him on Twitter at Jamester0722. And pretty much anything else that he does, Xbox and whatever, Instagram, whatever else he does, it's all that same. So Jamester0722, you can find him there. Josh, where can people find you at, man?
You can find me at _the_Brant, MINUSTHEBRANT, and that's my PSN name. I'm going to dive into Prey, so I'll be on that a lot. And yep.
Hey, you said that you wrote a review for something, Little Monsters, Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares.
Where'd you write that at?
Well, I already told you. It's on my Twitter account. I never wrote a review for Little Nightmares.
Oh, okay,
I just said
you.
this game is freaking me out. It's a
okay.
very good game.
Just looking for okay.
Edith Finch is fantastic. Little Nightmares is good.
Okay. I was gonna let you pimp out. I thought you actually wrote a review for it. My bad. So just follow him on Twitter for his one tweet reviews. You can follow me on Twitter at NeoLego, and you can pretty much find me anywhere else with that same handle. But that's it, guys. This has been episode 74 of the Life of Gaming podcast. We're glad that you stuck around with us. We hope that you had fun. And we're out of here, guys. May the 4th be with you.
May the Force be with you.